Hello, this is Christopher Allen. This is Coach's Development lesson number 20 on demonstrating faults and movements, I think part 2. Right, so the first one I'm going to do is the overhead squat. As far as points of performance, same as the air squat as far as lumbar curve maintained, knees tracking over those toes, depth will go to fully below parallel. And then I think that is everything. And then with the overhead squat, we're also incorporating the good overhead position with those active shoulders, as well as the bar staying on that frontal plane. So as far as the two faults, as far as this demonstrating those faults, would be the inactive shoulders, whether that be the arms aren't fully extended, maybe the grip's not correct. So as far as poor overhead position would be where there's a bend in that elbow. And then lastly, the second fault that I will demonstrate is that bar positioning is if it gets out and away of that frontal plane, especially if there's weight on the bar, that weight will tend to take us forward if we're not in a good position. So just demonstrating that where the bar position shouldn't be. Sorry, I don't know if, there we go, if it's in the video. So if that bar gets out in front, that's not where we want the bar. We want that bar fully locked out over that head. For the second movement was the push jerk. So with the push jerk, we're gonna have those hands slightly outside of those shoulders, elbows slightly in front of that bar, lumbar curve maintained, as well as with the push jerk in particular, we're looking for those hips and knees to be fully extended before we get those arms involved, as well as that is all I'm thinking of right now. So for the fault would be as far as if we are getting those arms involved early. So whether those hips are muted before we get into, say we're incorporating those arms here as opposed to here, being able to demo that. And then the second one, as far as the jerk in particular, is maybe when I would cue them in to really look at the feet on this, is if those feet are, the second one that I didn't mention is the feet it's catching in that sound partial squat positioning. So maybe their feet are going out too wide, which would look like this, almost getting that starfish jerk. So demonstrating that fault and then showing it correctly landing in that partial quarter squat position. So those are the two faults for the push jerk as far as demoing those. And then lastly is going to be the sumo deadlift high pull. Similar to all the performance for the deadlift. So that's those feet under those hips, torso and hips rising at that same level, lumbar curve maintained, weight in those heels. And then with the deadlift, it is the extension of those hips and knees, as well as rapid extension of the hips and the knees in that. So the two faults that I would demo is like an early pull, so getting those arms involved early. So with those hips still muted, starting to incorporate those arms. So again, like pulling with those arms to demo that a little bit exaggerated. And then lastly is going to be an incorrect descent. So whether that be sending those hips back before those arms are fully extended back at the end. So what this might look like is when we're up in here, already starting to send those hips back before those arms are fully locked out. So that is the 3 movements that I picked with the 2 faults for each. And thank you for your time.